Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank all of our witnesses today for being with us this afternoon. As one of the biggest military failures in decades, this administration has yet to provide adequate information regarding the botched Afghanistan withdrawal. Instead of reflecting and learning from this catastrophe over the past year and a half, it's been nothing but stonewalling and pointing fingers. Even the Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, said he has no regrets about the U.S. military withdrawal from Afghanistan. No regrets for the 13 lives lost. I believe that's an embarrassing comment from the Secretary. Well, I'm not sure what Secretary Austin saw in August of 21, but I can tell you the American people saw the execution of a half-baked withdrawal plan, which resulted in the deaths of 13 U.S. soldiers and left behind thousands of interpreters that were willing to risk and take a bullet for our country, whom we left behind, our country and our soldiers. I want to say thank you to the Inspector Generals for being here. We have a long road ahead of us to get down to the bottom of what actually went wrong, and we appreciate your time and your effort this afternoon in that endeavor as we continue this fact-finding mission. Mr. Storch, while I have you here this afternoon, I have a few questions unrelated to Afghanistan. My first few questions are about the role of an Inspector General, and you can presume that my questions are yes or no. Do you believe in protecting the integrity of our government? Is that the role of the IG?
Yes.
Do you believe in detecting waste, fraud, abuse, misconduct, and corruption in our government?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you believe the government should be transparent in all that it does?
Yes.
Do you believe in providing reports to the government about potential waste, fraud, abuse, misconduct, and corruption in government?
Yes.
Do you believe such reports should have a full set of facts in order for them to be complete?
Yes.
All right. Mr. Storch, in 2020, your office issued a report on the Jedi Cloud contract. Are you familiar with that contract?
I am.
Are you familiar with the report?
I am.
Okay. As you said earlier, without having a full set of facts, a review can't possibly be full and complete. I've read the report and talked to different folks. It appears here we had an employee at the Pentagon who sold her company to a partner of a major contractor at the Pentagon, and who had exposure to that contractor in her job. And when you read it, it looks like there's the potential for conflict of interest, something that the American people have no appetite for, regardless of who's in charge. And either she spectacularly failed to disclose who she sold her company to and the amount of money that she was paid during the duration of her employment at the Pentagon, or maybe she did the bare minimum legally, it was appropriate, but maybe not morally or ethically. If you sell your company for $1.5 million to a partner that does business with a major company, billions of dollars of business with the DoD, maybe you'd want to disclose that information before taking that job. And she spectacularly failed to disclose payments, and or maybe she did the bare minimum legally. It's hard to say, but to the average American, it just looks like pay to play. It looks like corruption at DoD. It looks like corruption at a federal agency. And so my next few questions are for you today. Would you be able to provide me a list of all the IG investigators and employees who worked on this particular report?
So let me say I am familiar with the
yes
report.
Yes or no? Would you be able to provide me a list of the IGs and or investigators, or employees who worked on this particular report?
I am responsible for the work of my office, so no, I don't believe it's consistent with IG practice to provide the names of underlying individuals who worked on it.
Do you think the report is complete and full?
So I did have opportunity, as I'm sure you know, based upon other inquiries, to review it myself, and I'm satisfied with the report. We are doing additional follow-up work, and I'm not aware of this.
I'm not satisfied with the report.
I'd be happy to discuss that with you, ma'am.
Well, we're doing that now. How can anyone conclude there was no conflict of interest or ethical violation by this employee if we failed to find out who purchased her company and how that connection was? Like, do you believe that a DoD employee should disclose who's buying their company before they come into the job or after? Because she disclosed these payments the week that she was the week that she left on her termination report, but didn't disclose all of it before she got hired.
So
should they disclose this information before or after they get hired?
When you were taking me through the litany of questions, you may have noticed I paused a bit when you talked about all the relevant
So my question is, should a DoD employee disclose who they sold their company to before or after they take the job?
I think the only honest answer is it depends, ma'am. And so what I wouldn't do is assume that the information in the report represents the full sum of information
So then
that
it
was
would be
available to
so it's
my
an
office.
incomplete report, is what you're saying?
No, it's standard
Well,
practice.
if it doesn't have the full sum of information in the
So-
report, then how do you describe it as complete?
So it is,
That's
look, I was a federal
incomplete.
prosecutor for 24 years before I joined the IG community. Not all the information you obtain in any audit or investigation is
It's
going to be included within the report.
317 pages
Believe
of
me, I'm
documents.
painfully aware of that, ma'am.
So how do you say it's complete if it doesn't have the sum of all information? I mean, it's certainly in the 20 pages that mentioned the specific employee, it does not mention at all who she sold her company to. I mean, it's absent there. Would you agree to cooperate with me and other members of Congress as we investigate this issue?
I'd be happy to cooperate with Congress and provide whatever information I appropriately can.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.